Brown's Sandymount. Peter arrived at Brown just before 1 p.m. There was no sign of John Boy. The place was full. Kind of like now, although you can't really see. Hi, any chance of a seat near the window? Peter asked the woman. Don't nice view. Green. We're kind of full, might be a bit of a wait. No problem, worth the wait. Peter wanted to ensure they were not heard. He picked up his phone and texted John Boy. Be a bit of a wait, want a coffee in the meantime? I need a cure, I may head to Sandymount house instead, LOL. Be there in a few, I'll take an espresso. Yeah, one espresso coming right up. You'll never fucking change, LOL. Peter got himself a coffee and brought John Boy's espresso outside and sat down at the outside table. I'd imagine the outside table was actually right there. Maybe I should have sat there, but that's actually when I wrote it, where I imagined them sitting. So check how strong my tea is. Sheesh. Not very strong yet. He looked out over Sandymount Green, remembering years of playing football there, always feeling like a Ringsend outsider using Sandymount soil. He'd be reminded of this by old Sandymount ladies complaining that Ringsend boys were destroying the flower beds. You look very lost in thought, Peter, said John Boy, pulling him out of a trance as he sat beside him. Here you go, John Boy, handing him his drink. Sure, don't we look like a right pair of queers here, Peter? We look like Frenchmen, John Boy. It's all how you look at it. Your table is ready now, said the woman from inside. We don't have a table by the window, but there's one in the corner. Will that work? Perfect, said Peter. They were seated at a table in the corner of the restaurant where Peter could talk quietly. So what's going on? You know the situation in Paris where the guy shot the two young fellas who were holding up the restaurant with fake guns? Yeah, said John Boy, looking up from his menu, confused how this had anything to do with anything. Yeah, well, that was me. John Boy's eyebrows crunched together. Are you ready to order? Asked the young lady. Yeah, I'll have the French brie and ham, said John Boy. And you, sir? The same, please, said Peter, completely unconcerned about the menu items. What do you mean that was me? I sent that guy in. John Boy stared at Peter in confusion. Were you in the back of the white van near the place with headphones? Asked John Boy. Peter paused. It's not funny, John Boy. Pete, for fuck's sake, what's going on? I know you like to mess around, but this is kind of weird. Can you get to the punchline, please? The guy was a cyborg type thing that I controlled. I told him to go in. Peter continued the story, starting with his first introduction to Thompson, Jackie's involvement, the Hyde Park incident, their trip to Paris to have the chips installed in Peter's head, and now his active agent on the streets of Paris. So that wasn't the benign mole you got removed at Vincent's? No. John Boy leaned in closer to Peter. Peter, I've known you for my whole life, and although you're a messer, you're not a liar. If you're messing with me, it's not all that funny. At least your other jokes of me going for a bit. Are the other guys in on this joke? John Boy looked around the restaurant, half looking for a camera pointed his way and a television personality to jump out from the kitchen. So if I call Jackie, she'll back up your story. She would, but you can't ask her. We were sworn to secrecy and I've broken that by telling you. Oh, that's convenient, said John Boy. I have my agent patrolling outside Stade de France right now, but I've no way to show you that, unless... He put his coffee down and looked out the window. What are you more likely to believe, John Boy, that I can read the future in detail or the story I just told you? Well, they're both outlandish, but since I'm a science guy, I'd say your story is more believable if I was to pick one. Go to Sky News Live on your phone. Why? Just do it. Peter watched him pull up the app. The hosts were talking about local politics in Britain. Now, poke around in other sources. Why? Asked John Boy. Just trust me, I want to be thorough. Okay. He proceeded to look at other news sources, but it was a quiet day for the news. Soon you'll see a story from Stade de France. A man will run through security and attempt to get on the pitch. They'll freak out thinking he's a suicide bomber. He's not. He's my agent. Whole sole mission here is to convince you of my story. And this will happen just as you say. I can't control how they will report it, but I will run past security. I'm hoping that's enough to make the news. John Boy looked at Peter with a mix of skepticism and a desire to believe his friend was not crazy. Meanwhile, Agent 13 was already past security while police screamed at him to stop. He ran into the pitch, screamed "Vive la France," fired 2 shots in the air, turned around, pushed police off him, exited the stadium at high speed, hotwired a car, drove out of the area, changed his features, parked the car, and went shopping for new clothes. While he was in the changing room, French Airways were starting to broadcast the story. Then Sky News got hold of it. By this time back in Browns, the 2 old friends were finishing up their late breakfast. How are our friends doing on Sky News? Same as before, said John Boy. We go to the news desk now, where a man has forced his way through security at Stade de France, announced the newscaster on John Boy's phone to the image of people coming out of the stadium. John Boy looked at Peter, who grinned back at him. He turned the phone towards Peter. You don't have to show me. I wrote the script. Go ahead and plug your headphones in. Vive la France, John Boy. Vive la France. John Boy plugged in his headphones. A man in his early 30s forced his way into the field screaming "Vive la France" and then proceeded to fire 2 shots in the air before leaving. Several police officers tried to hold him down but were unsuccessful. Since the attack some years ago outside the stadium, security at Stade de France has been strict. Police attempted to shoot the man, but there were too many people present. Police are confused at what this man's motive may have been. The man was not identified. Fucking hell, Pete. Pete's phone rang. Here we go. Hi, Francois. Yeah, sorry about that. My mistake. I was following a guy who looked suspicious who went in there and... Yeah. No. 13 gave him the green light, but my intuition was telling me differently. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. He just bought new clothes and the face is different now. Vive la France. It just seemed like a thing to say to calm everyone down, Francois. Peter hung up. Fucking rude bastard just hung up on me. Well, John Boy, I hope you believe me now, because that just cost me a few points with the boss man. So the setup is in the sub-level of Irishtown Garda Station? That's right. So the guards are in on this? No. Well, maybe a guard or 2 is, but for the most part, Garda Síochána think that it's a project built out for European surveillance. When they built the new building, they included the sub-level with European funds, but now Thompson is using it for his pet project. That's the end of the chapter. And now I'm going to see, just give you some context if you're not familiar with where we are. It used to be an old sweet shop called The Gem I would come to when I was a young fella. Good memories of being in here, and they converted it to a coffee shop after I left Dublin, and so it has a lot of memories. We'd stand here like right in this area and take forever to pick our sweets, and they sold sweets. They were penny sweets, you know, or half penny sweets. We had a half penny or halfpenny, we called it, or halfpenny. Actually, halfpenny was the term. And you could buy a sweet for a halfpenny, and we'd get, tea is pretty weak. I need a second tea bag there right away, please. Net second tea bag. I should have got an espresso. Anyway, we get these halfpenny sweets. I'll have one of those. We'd take forever and drive them nuts. And anyway, it became a special place to me when my mom was dying in hospital. I remember sneaking away here and just writing about that, and writing like a personal tribute letter to her. I don't know if I still have it, but I found it to be very peaceful to sit in this. Actually, this is the spot I sat in 2009. But I found it to be just very peaceful, and yeah, it's lovely. I never spent a whole lot of time in this green. We had a park nearby. I live 3-minute walk away. I live 3-minute walk away. But it's a lovely village, and a lot of people sitting outside today, even though it's December. It's quite pleasant outside. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for listening, and coming to you from live from Browns in Sandymount, where this chapter. I didn't write the chapter. I wrote the chapter in Texas, but I imagine myself here. Them here. Over now.